leadership, we took it. So we now are executing.
You're not going anywhere.
We have a great. We're moving forward. Hakeem and I have a plan.
All right, let's get some analysis right now from Democratic strategist James Carville. James, thanks for joining us. Schumer says he has a plan, you just heard it, that he's not going anywhere. But he's losing the confidence of a lot of his own members. Is it time, do you think, for Democrats to sideline Schumer and find a new leader in the U.S. Senate?
Well, I'm not a senator. I'm not involved with it, but I think we got to wait and see if this might be a smart vote. You know, it's not true, but apocryphal when supposedly Henry Kissinger asked Zhou Enlai, the Chinese premier, what were the effects of the French Revolution. And he said, well, it's too early to tell. And I think the wisdom of now that this vote is going to play out because we're going to have so many points here, the debt ceiling extension, the reconciliation, the tax cuts. And maybe this Democrats will be able to say, look, we did everything we could. This might turn out to be a wiser decision than people think, but it's too early to tell.
As you know, James, the Democratic base is clearly angry with Senator Schumer right now. Can he recover?
Sure. I'm mad at the Democratic Party. I mean, you see, when you lose an election, a party exists for one reason and one reason only, and that is to win the election. We lost. But there's nothing permanent about this. I remind people Wisconsin Supreme Court is coming up. You know, we got a huge Virginia governor's race. They have legislative challenges. And I do think that Senator Schumer is right. I think he and Leader Jeffers do have a plan in place. And look, if this is not evident here in the next 3 or 4 months, then there will be a uprising within the Democratic Party. But I think we should give them a chance to let's see what their plan and their strategy is.
Let's see what they're ready to do. All of this comes, James, as voters clearly are deeply dissatisfied with the Democratic Party as a whole. According to a new CNN poll, and I assume you saw it, just 29% view the Democratic Party favorably. That's an all-time low. What does this say about your party right now?
Don't lose an election because Democrats will get mad at you. I don't even like the Democratic Party. I do not like losing. And most Democrats feel the same way. If we start winning elections, that's going to come back. And there's all kinds of things. Trump's head of his Council of Economic Advisors said growth in the first quarter was going to be 2.5%. Well, I don't know what it's going to be. Predictions about the future, especially hard. But I got a feeling these guys have no idea of what they're doing. Yeah. And when these opportunities come forth, you have to seize these opportunities. And hopefully we do.
As you point out, the Democrats lost the House. They didn't win the Senate, and they lost the White House as well. In an op-ed for the New York Times last month, an important article that all of us read, you called on Democrats to, quote, roll over and play dead. But that's not what Democratic voters want. According to a new CNN poll from NBC, a new poll from NBC News, 65% that say they want their representatives to stick to their positions and fight Trump. Do you still believe the party leadership should ignore its base and play dead?
Well, I think what the base is really mad about is we lost the election. All right, and I'll be very candid to anybody at the Democratic base. We have no power. None. You understand? We have no power. And so I understand a lot of people are Democrats are like mad at me. But why don't we be smart? And if we would start winning elections, the Democratic base will love us. The idea is not to appease the base by Bonzi attacks or frontal assaults in March. The way to get the base back is to be clever and win and show them that we got something going in our favor. And I think we can do that. But you can't be emotional about this. You have to be strategic. We're in a really sticky wicket here. And I'm hopeful that Senator Schumer and Leader Jeffers, and I saw Leader Jeffers last Thursday of last week, and I got to tell you, I think there's a good plan brewing in there. I really do. The best plan is not going to be very good because we don't have the vote. We don't have the power.
The economy is a huge issue, as it always is a huge issue right now, with recession fears, falling stock prices, and President Trump's trade war. How do Democrats convince voters they're fighting for them and not just against Trump?
Well, if Kevin Hassett is wrong, as I suspect he might be, predicting 2.5% growth, they don't even understand the situation that we're in. And everybody, I mean, the tariffs are grotesquely unpopular. They're going to continue to be grotesquely unpopular. What Elon Musk is doing is really harmful to the country. And at some level, it's going to be harmful to the economy. And Wolf, you live in the Washington area for a long, long time. What's going to be the turnout among federal employees or ex-federal employees in the Virginia governor's race? Try 100%. I mean, they are creating conditions that I think in the end will be very favorable to the Democratic Party. But the one thing that I don't think we should do is have a bunch of frontal assaults and speeches and screaming and yelling in March. I don't think that's a smart strategy.
Yeah, there are so many people here in Washington, Maryland, and Virginia who've lost their jobs, federal government employees. It's heartbreaking to see what's going on right now. James Carville, as usual, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Wolf. I always enjoy it. Good luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Same to you.